welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Kristoffer Polaha and Moria of Mimics, coming out this Friday. It's good to have you both.
Hey, it is great to be
Nasty Neal.
Nasty Neal.
We need a cool killer Kristoffer. There's an easy one. We need an M word for Moria.
Murderous.
Murderous.
Masochistic Moria.
Yeah. So for people not aware yet of Mimics, can you give them an idea of what the movie's about?
Do you want to do it?
No, you.
Okay, Sam Reinhold is a down-on-his-luck impressionist who signs a deal, a mysterious invitation against a dummy named Fergus, and great things happen for his career, but bad things happen for his soul and for the people that he loves.
True. And so as I've watched horror movies my whole life since a little kid, and one of the only things that ever scared me was the trailer for Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
And so what is it about dummies that's scary?
You want to know what I just answered, like right out of the top of my head on one of the first questions, but throughout time memoriam, people have carved little images, little idols to worship, right? And every culture has had them. Voodoo still uses them. There is something very menacing about a miniature human that you can manipulate and animate, and it feels almost as if it's almost like it's a vessel for your own dark energy.
It's a great explanation. Great theory.
And I think people know that. I think we're all a little wary of it. And as we say in the movie, it's been co-opted. We've got like puppets on our kids' shows, but we all know deep down, like clowns, there is something very sinister.
Yes, I agree 100%. So, Moria, what interested you in this movie?
I mean, it's one of the more fascinating scripts I think I've ever read in my life. Every page turn was a surprise and a what and a wait, hold on. It never went the way that I expected it to go. And as a creative, I'm very drawn to art and doing work that stretches me and makes me a bit uncomfortable, because I think it forces you into a posture of humility and of learning, and that's when you grow.
And, Kristoffer, what made you think of Moria for the character Moria? Sorry.
One man. His name is Ken Carpenter. He's a producer. I call him the king of the Southeast. He and I had done 2 movies together, and he said, "I've got your girl," and I said, "Well, okay, who is it?" And he said, "It's Moria." And I looked her up on Instagram, and I was like, okay, my wife was the one. She was like, "Well, she's really beautiful. Like, you've got that going for you." And we jumped on a Zoom call. She was in Australia, and we were trying to work out the dates and make sure that everything was good. And then creatively, she just got it. It is a weird movie. I mean, you're
because it's scary, but it's it's comedic and.
It's weird. I mean, and that was the word. Like, I was like, we're making a weird movie. We're making a Lynchian exploration of the supernatural, and there's so many different tones. We want campy, we want the romance, we want it to be funny, and I want there to be jump scares. I want it to be spooky, fright light. There's no gore, there's no torture porn, but it's, it's a specific thing that we were after. And Moria, instantly, I could feel we were on the same wavelength. Like, when it was like, all of a sudden it was like, yeah, she gets it.
Yeah. And Moria,
she said yes.
Sorry, I was just like, your character's more grounded, because there is, a lot of more over the top, like silliness, and then your character's like primarily realistic throughout the movie.
Yeah, and I appreciated that, because I was, the ombre effect. You want to stretch yourself, a step at a time, and so for me, just immersing myself in a scary movie was like, I was nervous. I don't really watch scary movies, so it was
interview's over.
Yeah, I mean, it was a special role to play for me, but I think a lot of that comes back to the people you're surrounding yourself with, and I felt like from the get-go, Kristoffer and I had a shorthand, and we were able to really push back on each other and to do the work ego-free, and that's very rare to find in another creative.
And she crushed Ed McMahon. Her Ed McMahon is pretty hard.
I was actually going to ask you about doing impressions. Is that something you've done before? Did you come up with some for the movie?
Yeah, no, I'm a nerd too, my friend. And I grew up doing impersonations and like the sound of glass breaking and hitting, like I could do a punch sound and I had different
Oh,
gunshot
cool. All
sounds. And
right.
Mark Oakley and we actually grew up together. So he and I knew each other in first grade. And Mark was always fascinated. He's like, "How do you make that noise?" And I'd be like, and he'd be like, "Do it
He
again."
can't tell a story without
Sound effects.
It's
So-
actually really impressive.
I've always done impersonations, and so Mark and I, we tailor-made the script to fit those. So it was really just it was a choice and very deliberate, and I wanted to pull all just all the tricks out of the bag and have fun with them.
Yeah. Mariah said she's not a horror person. Do you like horror movies at all? And what was the idea to make it, horror comedy?
Yeah, I liked horror films growing up. I have a question for you. Would you argue that after 9/11, horror movies changed and the nature of the movies changed in that they became a lot more sort of torture porn, darker, crueler, if you will?
Yeah, I would say every decade definitely has different types of horror based on what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and I grew up with, I remember watching Night of the Living Dead, and my brothers were about 10 years older than me, and I remember watching Halloween and Jason, Friday the 13th. And those movies, I always enjoyed a little bit of a fright. I just didn't want the stuff that like stuck onto my bones, the soul stuff where you're like, oh God. Like I remember seeing Paranormal Activity or whatever that's called up in Vancouver when I was working. I was filming Life Unexpected. And I was by myself. My family happened to be, back in LA, and I was by myself. And I watched this movie, and I was like terrified for a week. That like my door, I was like, did the door just move? And so I'm interested in making a movie that's not that intense, but that allows you, if you're like on a date and you want to, you could jump closer. Your girlfriend, she can hold your hand or whatever. Like that's fun, but also wanted comedy, also wanted. Yeah, it was so we're calling it Fright Light.
I like that's a new term. So, and who created the dummy itself?
This is actually a manufactured like this is an off the market thing. It was Groucho Marx. We took off his mustache,
Oh, interesting.
his glasses, and we just kind of we changed what we had. We had created two dummies for this movie who were very disturbing, and they were too disturbing.
Sadly, they were made to look like Kristoffer.
Which made me feel great about myself. I was like, is this how the world sees me? And everyone was like,
I was a big fan of the wig. I was kind of hoping you'd keep it the whole movie. But how about doing the fishbowl scenes? What were they like to do? Were you really immersed in water?
yeah, you know what? You're the first person to ask about this. Thank you. Yes, I put my head in a bowl, and the bowl was filled with water, and I could hold my breath for about a minute 30. And so all of those are, and if you look at the edit, if you time it, you can actually hold your breath. One is for 121, and I think one's 126. And you can hold your breath the whole time if you can hold your breath that long.
I could not.
I can't. Yeah,
Did you train for that?
I did.
Oh my.
So I used to run rocks in Hawaii with this guy named Brian Kealana. He was a big wave surfer, and he would pick up a rock, he'd bless it. We got into the water, he'd drop it, you go down, you run the rocks, you run it, he holds on to your shoulders, and then when you're out of breath, you drop the rock, you go up, and you're like under the water 30 feet. This is for big wave surfing. And when I filmed North Shore back in 2004, on Saturdays I would train with Brian. And so for a long time, I've been able to hold my breath for a long time.
All right. Well, and I think that's a good message for anyone that wants to make a movie. Use things that you know. You can do impressions. You can hold your breath. Write that into the script.
Write it in.
Smart.
And, real quick, directing a movie you're acting in, and also acting with someone who's directing the movie.
What do you want to say about that?
I would say that it takes a very, very unique person to be able to wear both the director and the acting hat, and to be able to integrate those two roles. And I think Kristoffer did that beautifully. I loved watching him work, whether I was in a scene or not, just be able to envision a performance, share it with the whole cast and crew, and then step into the scene and pull that performance out of the other actors. And I just think that's its own kind of magic.
It's very generous. And then you hire people like her that make you feel encouraged and confident enough to do that. It was fun to be able to jump back and forth. It was a fulfillment of a dream and a goal that I've had pretty much my whole life. And I went to NYU, and I had this class. It was the history of theater. It was 4 semesters, so 2 years. And every semester you had to write either an essay or you could write a short play in the style that we were learning. And I used to write the plays, and then I would direct them, and I would cast all my buddies, and I'd be in them too, and we would present them for the class. And that's how I kind of got my grades. So it's something that I've been doing my whole career, where I've, and then as an actor, I'll do it uninvited. I'll be like, if you wanted to, we can make this better.
That's why you were so welcoming of all my ideas. Living out
I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Well, Mimics comes out Friday, so go check if it's playing near you. And I really enjoyed it, not just because you're here. So congratulations on the movie. Yeah,
appreciate you, man.
As someone who made a puppet, I'm a fan.
Oh, I'm scared.
So does he embody your dark energy or your dark humor?
I don't know. He's already more popular than me, so I can understand the tension.
This is your movie.
Great.
Thank you for having us on the show today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks for doing it. All right. Bye.
Hey! Hi everybody, Sam Reinhold. I'm going to start with some impersonations.
Hey, it's me, Patrick Mahomes. Yay!
Keep your day job.
Okay,
You've always had something special, Sam.
It was always your dream to be right here.
And you're gonna make it. I loves you.
Loves you, Gramps. Buried deep down where no one can see.
You wish someone would waltz in and wave a magic wand, catapult your career, make everything perfect for you.
It doesn't have to be like this. I have something that can change everything.
I'm the one who can make all your dreams come true.
What, there's 2 of you now?
It's gonna be you and me, kid.
Hola, mia.
Daddy? Who is this?
And nothing will get in our way.
Are you not entertained?
Be careful, Sam. Because if you don't have your head on straight, show business will be the last business you are in.
There's a cost to everything, Sam.
Welcome to the Station of Decapitation with your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Adam MacDonald, director of This Is Not a Test, in theaters February 20th, the day after my birthday. It's good to talk with you.
Hi, Neal. How are you, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this. So what interested you in the book? Because I found out this is, based on a novel.
I was actually always wanting to do like a zombie film or infected film. I've done it. My first short film was a zombie film. Funny enough, back in like 2005 or something. But no, I was doing research because I was kind of writing this pilot that dealt with like kids and zombies, and I said teenagers, and I was wondering if there's anything else out there. Then I discovered this book, and I read it, and I was like, oh wow, okay, this is everything I want to do. So I'm going to see if I can option this and make it real. So I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of great themes in the movie, and one of the main things is like kind of like finding a will to live, like for people who didn't really have that, and then like the struggles, like then it's like I actually want to survive now. Yeah.
No, I hooked onto it, and I felt for Sloane because like most of us, I think the lost teenager in us in high school. But I dealt with a depression that was, I almost didn't get out of, right? So like I could really feel the arc of that character, and that's why it was almost a catharsis for me, I guess. But that like you said, like she finds a reason to live at the end of the world, like the irony of that, like how what it takes, and like there's these beautiful. That's why it's more than just a zombie book. Like I'm hoping like this, people will see this more than a zombie movie, where like there's themes going on that's weaving through these metaphors, with her home life and how this needs to end. She needs to move on with the note at the end and everything, that you go, oh, she can move on from this environment or whatever, what she's feeling. That's why, like, I don't know. Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I did, and I
Like
I
the
like
light,
all.
the light on, not to give anything away, but there's a
No,
moment when the garage door opens and the light splashes on her face.
yeah,
That's, there it is.
yeah, and
It's hope.
I don't want to just bring up Romero, but you kind of have to in the zombie
Yeah,
world,
like,
and I think that's a kind of a theme in a lot of the Romero and the three original ones is like a new world, and this is and now it's like a new start for the survivors in this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, right at the end, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, the Godfather, of zombie. We all owe it. We're all indebted to him when he started in Pittsburgh.
So yeah, so what is it about zombie movies that like you wanted to make one? And again, like this is a zombie movie, but it's really about the characters, which I think the best zombie stories are.
Yeah, I agree. When there's like something deeper going on, and they use it as a backdrop for that metaphor. But that's why I
Yeah.
love it. Because it could be a social commentary, it could be consumerism, it could be in this case depression, it could be anything. But I've always found it. I find zombie movies the creepiest, even the original, even the white zombie from one of the
Yeah, yeah.
originals, right? Like it's just that because I always get creeped out when given my second film Pie Wacket, when the mom is not the mom. It's when someone's not who they are. When they're like, you look at someone like, oh, that wasn't Steve,
Hmm.
kind of thing, or not anymore. So when zombies is like, it's us gone wrong. That's us. Like, it's not some monster or whatever coming out of nowhere from the ground, some alien that we can't understand. No, no, no. It's us gone wrong. That creeps me out. Like the safe space here is gonna, you're gonna get attacked by your own family members or something like that. I just find that terrifying. That's why I Am Legend is one of my favorite books for that
Oh,
reason.
I agree. And I actually like all three
Creepy.
film versions, but none of them capture the end of the
No,
movie. I
that's
mean,
the
end of the book.
only book, I swear to you, I've read so many horror books, like, but it's the only book where I actually was physically scared. And I was reading it at night alone. There's no one around. I remember, like, this is a novella, right? And I was,
Yeah, yeah.
was like really scared.
Hmm.
It's the idea of knocking on the door, like they're talking to him. So they're, in a way, you can classify them. They're not really zombies. They're vampires, obviously.
Yeah.
But
But Romero said that was a big inspiration for the Night of the Living Dead is I Am
yes,
Legend.
that's the point.
Hmm.
Like it's freaky. So, and the fact that I do, like, no pun, but they'll never die. They'll never die because
Hmm.
they're such a great tool to like tell your story as a metaphor. They're the best to me.
Yeah. I do a live podcast on Thursdays, and I just talked about the book and all three film versions. So it's
Oh, you
funny you
did?
brought it up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I
I'm a
mean,
huge fan. So, yeah.
Omega Man. We can talk about this for an hour. But yeah, like I'm waiting for the best version to come
Yeah,
out.
they miss the end all the time, and I don't really understand why. It's even the name of the book. But
When he's in that car racing the sun to get back, it's one of the best scenes.
oh yeah, yeah, I love all, especially the first two are great.
Yeah.
The Vincent Price one's good too. But what made Olivia Holt write for Sloane?
It's pretty easy. Like I saw her in Totally Killer, and I just thought she was fantastic. And I saw her in Cruel Summer, and I just thought she was just so talented, such a charisma on screen. But there was something. I was drawn to her, right? And I was thinking when we're talking about Sloane, and we're thinking about these other people that maybe could play them. Her name came up, and immediately I thought yes, because. And it's an instinctual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So then when she came on and I met her, like there's an aloofness to her. She's like it's hard to read, and she has that in her eyes, and it's like it just plays really well with Sloane. But I've seen like when I saw a couple of scenes in Cruel Summer, I was like, she is Sloane. So I just, we need to translate that or work on it. And I knew she could take the character where it needs to be, and she did. So
Yeah, because she could very emotional, like you can read in the face, like you said, and also she's believable as like a badass at parts, which
yeah,
sometimes
I'm
doesn't
like,
work. I think.
it's like I'm not gonna take any shit. Like you can feel that, from her. But it's like, it's rare that an actor you can really read like what's going on in their eyes when you're that close. They're not trying to like project anything. You can feel what's going on inside. It's really hard to do as an actor. So when she was doing that, and like I was talking, like I just saw her yesterday, but while we were shooting, it was just like I felt tethered to her while we were shooting on screen. When she was on the monitor, it was like it was very emotional for me because the film was very cathartic for me, and she was doing it. She was there, and I was so appreciative to her. So, but sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes, but it was an instinctual thing, and Sybil felt the same way. It was like Freud was similar. It's like it's an instinct, and you got to go with your gut. Because sometimes somebody where you think could be great, you know, and you're like, but they come on, they're like, it's not landing. It's not landing. You know, but she's incredible.
Yeah, I thought the whole cast was great. Yeah, all the kids together worked well. And I really like the Mr. Baxter character. I don't spoil anything in the movie, but it's a character pops up and really like changes the whole dynamic of the movie.
Yeah. It was in the book, right? So we wanted to like cast someone, and then Luke, I'm a fan of his work, and he was like, he just brought such a weight to Baxter. He made it so interesting, and he leaned in, like he understood the character. We met, and I thought he'd be like a character you don't maybe not see him play often, maybe, which I think is maybe unfair. But he came out and like he was amazing, because in the book he's like he may not look the way how Luke presents himself, but he was incredible in the role.
You know, I have to ask it. Do you have an opinion on fast zombies versus shambling zombies?
Shambling zombies?
Yeah.
The shambling zombies are the classics. They're the classic, right? So, you know, Walking Dead, I think did it, you know, just as, you know, well. Of course, the original Night of the Living Dead, the GOAT. But for me personally, I love the runners. I love 28 Days Later. I love, they scare me way more. Mm-hmm. And I find them, like, I think the combination of like 28 Days Later or Night of the Living Dead with Dawn of the Dead, with Zack Snyder did, terrifying. So, yeah.
Well, I really like, and so there's a lot of zombie movies out there, which I'm a big fan of zombie movies, but when you do a modern one, you have to do, you know, they have to stand out in some way. And this is not a test I really liked a lot, because the characters and a lot of the themes, which you don't necessarily see in a lot of zombie movies. And as someone who, I got really sick 4 or 5 years ago, and I was a depressed guy, and that whole ordeal made me a much happier guy. So like that's something that I wasn't zombie related, but it's something I can relate to.
Oh, good. That's the hope, you know. Like honestly, is this like that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make the film, because no matter how dire the situation is, there's always a silver lining. There's always hope, and that's why the line in the movie is like, we're the stupidest people in the world to think there was ever hope. But that's the thing in the movie, there is. Mm-hmm. And we see it by the end, you know. Yeah. But and I think everybody can relate to that, because you can equate that to anything in your life. It doesn't have to be depression; it could be anything. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's always there. And what a bet again, this kind of a backdrop, we can really show it.
Yeah, it's all about horror, sci-fi. You can can talk about one thing, but really talk about something else.
That's why we love it, man. Right, Neal? That's why we love it, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for doing this, and I really dug the movie, and I'm gonna go back and watch the rest of your films that I have not seen. So.
Oh, great! Well, enjoy the bear time.
And I'm gonna check out the book too, actually. So, I'm gonna check out the book too.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's great. It's a great book.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Neal. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, we've been looking for you for like an hour.
It's just quieter over here. Drinking game?
Never have I ever cheated on a test.
Oh, I call bullshit.
When you're smart, you don't have to.
Never have I ever had sex in the school bathroom.
Wait, what? Never have I ever survived a zombie invasion.
What are we supposed to do?
This is not a test. Lock all doors and cover all windows.
No one's coming to save us.
Someone's in the school. Someone got in.
If you encounter anyone you suspect to be infected, do not attempt to assist them.
Oh my God. He's not breathing.
Carrie?
We can't stay here. We gotta go.
If we go out there, we're all dead.
We have to do things we don't want to do if we're gonna make it.
Ready? No talking, no panicking. Come on!
This place is a coffin.
This is not a test.
Aha! And this is Nasty Neal here at the station of decapitation without your head. Here at the Nasty Neal Show. Now, I'm not trying to be an egomaniac. It's just these live streams, I'm going to try to call them a little something different, and why not? Here we go, the Nasty Neal Show. So here's a couple cool interviews. Hope you guys enjoyed. Some new movies coming out. Mimics is out now in select theaters, so find that really fun horror comedy. You know, it's not a ton of horror in it, but it's horror adjacent, and it's funny. I dug it a lot, and this is no test. I really liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of zombie movies, and, you know, after a while, we get so many, and so to stand out, you have to either do something a little different, and you know what? This one's not necessarily, they're not like recreating the zombie. But I think it's a really well-made movie. The zombie stuff's great, and it's really about the characters and the theme. So check that out. That'll be out next week at select theaters. So if you guys out there, I know you're always saying, like, there's all these remakes and all these reboots and all these reimaginings and the rewarmings and the reheatings and the reworks and the prequels and the sequels. There's a lot of original horror out there, so you have to support it. So when it is playing at the theater, go out there and see it. And I know it costs a lot of money sometimes to go to the theater, VOD, but for me, the theater experience is great. And I'm not here to promote AMC, but the AMC Stub Club, it's a great deal. It's around $22 a month. You get to see 4 movies a week. You see 2 movies, it pays for it. So anyway, go and support those movies out there. Since it's Friday the 13th, I thought we have to do something. Nasty Neal, you run a horror website, the longest running active horror podcast in the world. How can you not have a Friday the 13th show? You're going to have your horror card taken away. They're going to run you out of town. So here I am. Friday the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. And I'm going to run down my personal list of the Friday the 13th films. So this is my list. So first of all, I do not have the remake. I'm not including the remake. I'm including the original run, the original franchise from part 1 to Freddy vs. Jason. So where would the remake, end up on my list? It's funny because the first time I saw it, I didn't mind it. There was a lot of people against it. I watched it and I was like, it's fine. I wasn't in love with it, but I thought it was all right. I watched it again not that long ago and was not a fan. Because for me, and I know some people will be different. I really think it depends what era of like movies you grew up with. And a lot of the horror movies of like the early 2000s are like too sleek for me. And I think everyone looks like a supermodel. They don't really look like they'd be dirty and grungy out in the woods. And that takes away a lot of the movie, from the movie for me. And there's also, I think, like bad dialogue for me, and like from like 70s and 80s movies. It's just there's a more I get more joy out of that from like bad dialogue in the 2000s. I just find annoying. So I'm not a huge fan of that movie. Where would it be in the list? I'm not really sure. But here we go. So number 11, and this is my list. A lot of people are going to disagree with some of these because I have some of the fan favorites not that high. And I'll explain why as we go on. But number 11 is not a fan favorite. And so for me, it's my least favorite. And that is Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, if you've never seen the movie, you might watch that trailer and you'll be like, nasty Neal, that movie looks terrific. And the trailer does make it look great. And if the whole movie was Jason in Manhattan, it would not be on the bottom of my list. The poster art for Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, fabulous. It's a great poster. I would say iconic poster. If the movie only lived up to that. Anyone who's seen it, you know what's happening. The majority of the film is on a boat. It's a boat drifting from Crystal Lake to New York to Manhattan. How this happens, no one really knows. Why? If you see a movie, Jason Takes Manhattan, do you want to watch Jason on a boat? Probably not. So the last, 5 minutes, maybe like 10, 15 minutes at max, are in Manhattan. And that stuff's great. You get to see Jason in Times Square. It's like the classic, Tarzan or King Kong, And so that stuff's all great. And a fantastic scene. If I was going to rank my favorite death scenes in Friday the 13th history, this would be near the top. Maybe not the top, but it would be near the top. And that is my pal, V.C. Dupree, getting his head punched off by Jason Voorhees, and the head rolls down into a dumpster. Great scene. Unfortunately, the majority of the movie stinks. And then the ending is god-awful. And I'm usually all for some whacked out ideas. Let's do something different. Let's do something out of the box. So I'm not against, all right, we're going to do Jason in New York. He's been in the forest now and camps for 20 years. So now he's going to be in New York City. That's all well and good. Going to do something with the franchise. Later on they're going to blast him into space. But you got to get him there. And then the very end, he's stuck in the sewage system, and there's dialogue talking about this is the time of night when they let the nuclear waste run through the sewer system. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think it's oh yeah, it's midnight. Let's open the nuclear waste valve and drain out all the nuclear waste under the city. And then it hits Jason and he turns into a little boy for some reason. And then it's forgotten in the next one. Now, the writer and director, Rob Hedden, he doesn't do interviews. I don't think he's been on any of the documentaries. This guy just went into hiding after he made this movie. And I would like to know, there has to be some plan, because if you end the movie like that, and you're making Friday the 13th, so you think okay, there's going to be another one after this. So let me end this in a way that I would like the next one to start. Because up to a time, Friday the 13th movies, after the first one, well, even the first one didn't know there would be a sequel, but they would go in order. They would even show the end of the previous movie at the beginning, which is a trope that I wish would come back. I used to like that about slasher movies, where you would see the end of the previous movie at the beginning of the sequel. I like that. I think that works. So as I go down my list, you're going to find that I like that a lot. So there's a particular order that I like these movies. And so you would assume, okay, we turn Jason gets nuclear waste on him, and now he's a boy. So part 9 is what? Jason as a kid? Toxic waste. Is the next one the Toxic Avenger in reverse? Instead of becoming a Toxic Avenger, he becomes Mark Torgo? I don't know what's happening here. So if Rob Hedden, if you're out there, explain to me what the purpose, and look, I like 70s. I don't want to be spoon-fed why this happens or the meaning of the ending. I get that. So I'm kind of going against my own doctrine here. But I need someone to explain to me the ending of Jason Takes Manhattan and what the follow. More importantly, honestly, than that, whatever. Who knows why you did that? Maybe you're fucked up. You're on ketamine or something. I don't know. But what was the follow-up going to be? You can't turn Jason into a child in toxic waste, and then the next one you forget. Like, it has to pick up from there. He can't just suddenly he's got the mask again, which I guess is what they do. But yeah, they forget that this is never explained again in the franchise until I believe Adam Marcus tries to explain all this in his masterpiece film. Go Nasty Neal. Hey, yeah. So Jason Takes Manhattan, Part 8, Friday the 13th, Part 8 is for me, number 11 in the franchise. Number 10. Now, for what I really didn't know as a kid, like many people who like this movie. But as an adult on social media, I've learned to find that it has a following. And so number 10 for me, the second, you could really toss this movie, in my opinion, up with Jason Takes Manhattan. Manhattan, the thing that pisses me off about Jason Takes Manhattan is the poster is so good and the premise is good, and they don't capitalize on either of those things. So you're watching this dumbass movie on a boat, waiting for him to get to Manhattan, and he's there for 8 minutes. And so that pisses me off. If this whole movie was in New York, who knows? Maybe it would be 5 or 6 on my list. But as it stands, it's number 11. Although I will say I like the poster of Jason Takes Manhattan and the head punching scene better than probably all number 10. And number 10 for me is Freddy versus. Another cool trailer. Is it the worst movie I've ever seen? No. Does it deserve to be this low on my list or this bad on my list? Maybe not. There's probably worse movies on the list here coming up. But I think there's so much hype, there's so much potential that we finally see 2 of the iconic slashers together, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, together. Back in the day, they would give us stuff like this. We had a Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. But we don't get these kind of movies in modern day. This was even before the MCU, so it wasn't like you were getting really any franchise movies mixed together. So Freddy versus Jason, for horror fans, damn, what are we going to get here? And we get kind of a dumbass movie, to be honest. It's all right. It's fine, I guess, but not because of all the hype behind it. And it's a hype really in your head because you're like, Freddy, what are they going to do? Are they going to fight? And is Freddy going to come into his dreams? But, Jason's a friggin' a zombie. You don't know how is it. He don't sleep. So what the hell's happening here? Are they going to team up to see who's more evil? Maybe they're going to team. Maybe they're going to have it's going to be like the Olympics, and they're both going to try to kill teenagers, and whoever can kill the most wins. But no, they kind of like the one guy's like kind of fire and the other guy's water or something. I don't know. It stinks. It's not great. It's not great. It's not a great movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because I've only seen this movie a handful of times. Some of these movies I've seen many times. Sometimes I ask myself, why? Why have I watched Jason Takes Manhattan like 25 times? I'm not really sure. But Freddy vs. Jason, I've only watched a handful of times. So I don't have a deep connection to it. I just know it's not too great. So number 10, Jason but I will say this. The Never Sleep Again, the Nightmare on Elm Street documentary, fantastic. That's a whole other show. But in that, they're talking about some ideas that they had for this movie. And there is a great script for this movie. Now, I'm going to explain why you really couldn't do this, but the premise is great. The premise is it's Freddy Krueger in life when he's a child killer and a child, he's doing some bad stuff. Maybe he's on some island in modern day. He's not a good guy, folks. And it's Jason Voorhees before he drowns or whatever happens to him, which I'm going to explain a little bit later that he doesn't really drown. And then, so they have these two in life. Before they're killer. Well, the one guy's a killer before he's an undead killer, whatever. And Freddy, he has this way with a little Jason. He just did, you know what I'm saying? Not good. Not good. But that, maybe he drowns him. He drowns Jason in Crystal Lake. He's like, we got to get rid of the evidence after he's like doing like his priest stuff with Jason. Now, this is a great idea, but I do understand. Look, okay, I'm wearing my Friday the 13th shirt. More of a Freddy Krueger fan, but people have got their tattoos of Freddy Krueger. You're coming in, you got your gloves. People at Jason masks want to have a good time, and they sit down and they watch a movie about Freddy Krueger molesting Jason, and you'd be like, "What the hell am I watching? I don't want to wear this guy's shirt." Then they'd be burning off their tattoos. So I get why you didn't do it. I understand it would freak everybody out. That being said, I do think it's a strong idea. But anyway, we're going on a tangent here, but go and watch Never Sleep Again. It's like a 10-hour, probably not that long, but it's a very long documentary about the whole franchise. Very well done. I do the same thing on repeat. Most are good, yeah. So before I go to the rest of these, so when I was a kid, I said when I was a kid about Freddy vs. Jason, but I was like in my 20s. But when I was an actual kid, before like you could just go watch anything you wanted to watch streaming, I guess you could rent some. Even renting was a little different. But every Friday the 13th, whenever it would land on channel 38 or 56, one of my two local channels, they would show all the Friday the 13th movies up to whatever one was made. So as a little kid, they'd show like 1 and 2 and 3. And then like the years went on, then they show 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then maybe up to 5 and maybe 6, we started to get, into cable era. But that was super cool because I couldn't just watch these movies whenever I wanted. It's like, oh shit, we've got a Friday the 13th this year. Maybe we got 2. I could sit and watch a Friday the 13th movies in order. And those movies, when you up until a certain point, they really play well together. For me, up until I won't get into it because it'll spoil my list. But let's see, we got Millie. Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface versus Alien Fred. Yeah, it is too bad we never got any more of these. We had Freddy versus Jason. We've never, I don't know, Leprechaun versus Pinhead. The one that really would have worked is Ash, because think about this before we get back to Friday the 13th. When you think of the horror franchises, you just named, you've got Jason, you got Leatherface, you got Freddy Krueger, you got Candyman, and if you're getting into the 90s, you everyone knows the people. All those franchises are built around the villain. People say, hey, but, you've got, these couple characters pop up in 2 or 3 movies. Yeah, big freaking deal. Yeah, Heather Langenkamp pops up here and there. I get it. But the franchise is not built around Heather Langenkamp. No offense, Heather Langenkamp. Tommy Jarvis, he's in 3 or 4 of the movies? Again, they're not the Tommy Jarvis story. It's about Jason. Yeah, I know he's not really. He's dead in the first, but whatever. Evil Dead. That's all around Ash until these new ones. But the original 3, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then the series is Ash. They're all about the good guy. This is very rare. It's like that in Phantasm. Phantasm is also around the good guy. Now you also have, the tall man, obviously. But the good guy's alive throughout all of them. So you don't really get that in horror franchise. It's usually just about, I guess, Scream maybe is about what's her face. I don't know. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying? They're all about the killer. So if you had Ash versus the killers, you could actually have a good guy fighting the bad guy in all these different scenarios instead of, coming up with who do you root for? I guess you have Freddy fans, you have Jason fans. So, yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity. I'm sure there's legal battles. I think even Freddy versus Jason, there was battles who get the first, is it Freddy versus Jason or is it Jason versus Freddy? Let's see. We got some real. So we're talking about fake killers and stuff, and then not necessarily that Cosby's a killer, but this guy's all about real life villains. Hard Eyes. You know what? I've not seen Hard Eyes. I should watch that tomorrow for Valentine's Day. All right. Let's get back to this list before I get too fired up. You know what else I've always thought, Vagina Wrinkle and everyone out there? People of a certain age, they probably don't do this anymore because you get internet and all this stuff. But when I was a kid, at night, sometimes we'd sit around the fire or flashlights and we would tell ghost stories. And, we'd make them up. I always thought it'd be interesting to try to tell one of these franchises in a ghost story format. So you'd sit down and I'm going to tell you, someone who's never seen Friday the 13th movies, and I'm going to tell you from Friday the 13th up into Jason X, I guess. I'm going to tell you this is one long story, and just think how insane that would be. Other movies, you really couldn't do it. If you tried to do that with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'd be like, and then all of a sudden it's a whole new family. It's like, what is happening here? But Friday the 13th, you could, in theory, tell this as one long story. Now it goes all over the place, but again, Jason Takes Manhattan, really ruins it because you're like, now he's in the sewer, he's turned into a child, and then and now he's blasting into space. It's like, what happened to him as a kid? I don't know. I missed that part of the story. All right. That was not 10. So 11, I have Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 10, Freddy versus Jason. Number 9 for me is Jason X.
In the year 2455, on a routine training mission, a team of students is about to discover a life form frozen in time.
Wow. They're on their way back. Prepare for docking and power up the lab.
You brought him on board?
Everything's under control, ma'am.
What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees, that's what's going on. He's an unstoppable killing machine.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
How do we get off the ship?
I don't know. Look, we're gonna be all right.
What? Are you high?
Uh-oh.
He's here. You have to get them out of there.
Hey, Slappy!
I think we're finally okay. What the hell is that? You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, wow.
He's been modified.
Oh, you think?
You guys might want to run.
I don't think he's out there.
Why don't you just stick your head out and have a peek?
Again, great trailer for Jason X. And Jason X has a lot going for it. I probably don't hate it as like a lot of Friday the 13th fans like really vehemently hate Jason X. There's a lot of good stuff in Jason X, including the story. Now you might say, Nasty Neal, are you insane? You think the story to Jason X is good? He's in outer space? Yes. All right, you've done everything you can with Jason up to this point. He's been you can't just keep like, hey, let's rebuild the camp. It's like, let's try to build Jurassic Park again. This time it's gonna work, and the dinosaurs aren't gonna kill everybody. It's like, no, like we can't. I mean, come on, let's have some sense here. So after a while, it's like, all right, we realize it. We can't keep Jason in the woods. So they take the Manhattan. They do whatever the hell they do, and Jason goes to hell. So they start to think, let's think if this was real. I'm not saying this is a realistic movie, don't get me wrong, but if this was real, this undying monster, what do you do with him? You freeze him, because then you have control over him. Apparently you can't blow him up. You can't disintegrate him. We're going to freeze him. Maybe we can study him at some point. So they freeze Jason. All right, that makes sense. Within the sense of this movie. And then you go into the future. He gets thought out. All right. I am fine with that. I think it's a fun idea. It's something new. That's cool. It's got what maybe the best kill in all of these movies. It's got two great kills. It's got one on the holodeck, which is a little bit of a cheat because it's not really a death because it's a hologram, and it is kind of back to be going into the woods when he's beating the woman in the sleeping bag, right? But the greatest death is the frozen head, and boom, smashes the head. That's great. The problem with Jason X is not outer space, is not Uber Jason, is not the kills. The problem is the rest of the movie is really just like a typical Friday the 13th slasher. And maybe some people like that about it. But like all the dialogue, it's like a group of young space marauders, I guess. And they're having a lot of sex, and they're just getting picked off and killed. And so my point is, like, you're really actually like, let's do something different with this. We're blasting into space, into the future, but let's just do the same movie, only it's in space. And so to me, that's kind of lame. I'm sorry, Farmer. I'm a friend, but so there's parts of this movie I like. I don't hate it. I don't hate Jason X. Do I love Jason X? No. So there's parts of it I'm totally into him frozen in outer space. Yes, this is great. I'm into it. The movie itself. Now again, you'd be like, Nasty Neal, are you really looking for great dialogue in a Friday the 13th movie? And I will say to that, fair point. But there we go, Jason X. Now, when we had Todd Farmer on the show, great guy, great guest, and he's in my film. So I'm not playing favorites here. I could have him, higher here. In my film, the once and future Smash, he is in the film. And in our interview, we did like a 2-hour interview with him. I think it's on the website, video interview, really good. And he talked about like there was more to the original script, and he had ideas of like, which I loved. It was like the idea where all these killers would have been, it was almost like gladiators on some planet. So it's like a planet of some overlord, whatever. And he'd have these frozen, you know, it'd be like Jason or an alien, whatever. And then he would pit these against each other. And I was like, I'm into it. Now, I realize you need like $100 million to make that movie, but I like the idea. Maybe you can make it into a comic book. Yes, the head's great. Jason, get her, Gers at, yeah, exactly. Let's see. Where the hell am I? All right. Wow. I've only done 3 so far. I didn't think I was that passionate about Friday the 13th. So we've got Jason Takes Manhattan, Freddy vs. Jason, Jason X. Now we're going to, probably another one that's not actually beloved is my number 8. And I'm going to admit, along with Freddy, I'm not exactly sure why, but this is one I've not seen a lot. I've seen it. But it's not one that I've revisited a lot, and I don't know why. I should, because I'll explain why in a minute. But anyway, number 8 for me, and maybe if I would revisit it, it would be higher. I don't know. Maybe I'd like it more than some people do. But that is Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
This is the one you've been waiting for.
What's happening to me?
Your psychokineses and these delusions are...
No, you're not listening to me!
The one you've been asking for.
Hey, Tina, isn't this the way they wear their jackets back in the mental hospital?
Concentrate. Concentrate, Tina!
The one you've been dying for.
You people give me the creeps.
Okay, you big hunk of a man, come and get me.
Jason is back. But this time, someone is waiting.
Jason?
Tina, don't go in there!
Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
I agree. Jason looks great in Part 7. One of the best looking Jasons, I would say. Now, like I said, I can't say too much about this because I've only seen it like, I've seen it more than once, but not a lot of times. And I know a lot of fans don't like it because he's fighting this girl that has superpowers, telekinesis. And I don't understand the problem with that because from 6 on, you've established that Jason is supernatural. He's come back from the dead. He's a zombie. So why is it so preposterous that there's also someone else that has some kind of ability? And also, once Jason is an unkillable zombie, just a plain old human being, how much threat do they really have versus Jason? So I think the idea of having someone with some powers is actually smart. So they can actually have a little more of a chance versus Jason. So I like that idea. Jason looks great. I am going to revisit Part 7, The New Blood, because I don't know a lot about it. I just know it's not really loved, but I've seen like people really liking it more recently. But I do like Carl Buchler. I met him at my very first convention at It was the first time I was at a convention as press at Days of the Dead, the very first Days of the Dead. Really nice guy. I don't think we ever got an interview with him for some reason, but very nice guy. And so I'm gonna hold too much judgment on this. I'm gonna revisit this movie, and maybe it'll move up in my list. All this being said, though, as you're gonna find out with my number 7, I do prefer Jason as a Mongoloid. Can I say that on YouTube? I can't say like the R word. Is Mongoloid okay? So I prefer Jason as a living being. And I know people will argue with me that Jason is always a spirit or he's undead or a zombie. I vehemently disagree. I probably disagree with that more than people tell me the mustache looks good on Nosferatu. He is a living being up until Horseshack brings him back to the dead. But what was I even talking? So I just prefer that because I like the idea that he could be killed, he could be hurt. It more of a chance. Once he's a zombie and he's like completely unkillable, it's not as interesting to me. But he does look cool. He looks great in part 7. And people argue that Kane Hodder is the best Jason. I don't know if I agree. I know my friend Jason, not Jason Voorhees, but Jason Mitten. He says that Kane Hodder is the best Jason, but not in the best Friday the 13th movies. I know it's almost blasphemy to say this. And Kane Hodder's been on the show many times. I've met Kane in person many times. I've hosted panels with Kane Hodder. Not my favorite Jason. Now, don't get back to him and tell him that Nasty Neal said that. He'll strangle me. He strangled me when we're friends. Imagine what he would do if he found out I don't think he's the best Jason. So you're probably guessing what this is, I think, probably the one that is going to be the most controversial of my picks. It is because some people consider this the best Friday the 13th movie. I know people this is their favorite horror movie. And so my number 7 is Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, part 6. And so here we go.
This is between me and Jason. Jason belongs in hell, and I'm gonna see he gets there. Jason's alive. We dug up his body. You gotta do something.
No one in Forest Green wants to be reminded of what that maniac did here. That's why we changed the name. People want to forget this was Crystal Lake.
Just because our parents keep telling us that Jason was only a legend doesn't mean it wasn't true. What if he did come back here? Looking for the camp counselor that caused him to drown his way.
Darren, we better turn around.
Why?
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Pretty great trailer, I have to say. So again, this one's going to be really controversial because, like I said, a lot of people, this is their absolute favorite. I think it's Vagina Wrinkle's favorite. And it's not even that I dislike it or anything, but I prefer, he's alive. So there's stuff going for this one. It's very inspired by Frankenstein. He's brought back to life with electricity. You got like grave robbers. And then I think they treat Jason, a lot like Frankenstein. He's very slow moving. Is he necessarily, do you feel bad for him? Probably not. Well, in some ways, okay. He's brought back to life like Frankenstein. Maybe he was at peace now that he's dead. Now he's back and he can't really fit in the world. So he's just going to run killing people. The thing about the movie is they do cut away like a lot of the death scenes they cut away from. In a lot of the movie is like kind of like comedic, but they don't treat Jason like a joke, but a lot of the movie is pretty comedic. I just prefer him alive. But so this is when he this is the start of him being a zombie. So there's a lot going for it, and I think it really just comes down if you prefer like a living Jason or if you prefer the unstoppable zombie Jason. I prefer the living one. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. The great Tommy Jarvis by what's his name? God, I forget his name. He's in Return of the Living Dead. He's been on the God, I'll remember his name in a while, but I should have this all written down. Jason, cool. He looks cool, and it's Horshack in it from Welcome Back, Kotter. So people, I used to get in a fight with like a physical fight with Mike Terry, who hopefully he's doing well out there in Hawaii. And he would tell me, he's like, no, Neal, Jason is always dead because he drowns in number one. Now I was going to talk about this when we get to the number one. But so from 1 to 2, you do have to take a leap of faith. But from 2 to 4, Jason is clearly a living being for many reasons. First of all, if he did drown and died as a child, why would his zombie be a grown man? That's not. So he kept growing while he was dead at the bottom of the lake. He also makes noises. He gets hurt. He has a shrine to his mom. He's clearly a living person. So from 1 to 2, the thing is, people take the first one so literally. It's like, all right, Jason is drowned. He's dead. But all you have to do okay, well, he didn't drown. The mom is crazy. Clearly she's crazy in the first movie. And either she knows that he didn't drown, he's living out in the woods, or she thought he drowned and he's living out in the woods watching her. Whatever. He is alive, and and now he's a grown man because he grew up living out in the woods. He's clearly, not all there in the head. Neither is she. And then he becomes a zombie. It's kind of interesting though, because the grabber, we've seen him go from a living guy in Black Phone to now he's supernatural in part 2. You can argue Art the Clown blows his head off in the first one, comes back. So, Jason started this though, I think. I don't think there's another franchise where, as far as I know, where the killer's like being and then he dies and then they actually bring him back. Not like he faked his death, whereas some of the other ones he's getting cut in the head and he's not really dead, but he actually comes back as a supernatural undead being. So that's kind of cool. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And I know a lot of people, it's their favorite. Now, number 6 on my list is one that's really hated by a lot of people. And the first time I saw it, I hated it too, but I've learned to love it. And I'll explain why in a minute, because number 6 on my list, we're right in the middle now, is Jason Goes to Hell.
Horror has many faces. Death wears many different masks. But pure evil wears only one. And this is your final chance to see it. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Boom! Jason Goes to Hell. So, the first time I saw this, I have a perfect memory of this. So, it was me and my friend Joey. And his, so what year did this come out? Wait, let me look this up here. Trying to see how old I was when this movie came out. 93. So, I was 17. It was a year before I was junior in high school. So 17, me and my friend Joey, his brother, his older brother, Rob, are driving us to go see Jason Goes to Hell. On the way there, we stopped to get gas, and I always remember this. Rob paid for his $10 in gas. He paid for it in a big bowl of unrolled pennies. And the guy just looked at him and just like said, "Get out of here." Now, he already pumped the gas, so he wasn't going to count the pennies, and he was not happy. So anyway, Rob didn't want to see the movie apparently, so he dropped us off. And I'll always remember this. It was in the Wareham Theater. And so Buzzards Bay Theater, sorry. And so me and Joey, we go in, and there's one other guy in the theater. And so we were sitting together here. And he was sitting directly across from us, across the aisle over here. The movie opens, and you guys know how it opens. It's dumb. And then so they're trick Jason. They blow him up. They're doing the autopsy of Jason, and for unknown reasons, a coroner grabs his black heart and he bites into it. And me and Joey burst out into laughter. Just loud laughing. We're probably obnoxious. We're two 17-year-old kids. The guy over here, pissed. He is fucking pissed. He is livid that these two, cretins are just laughing their ass off at this man eating Jason's black heart. And the rest of the movie, me and Joey are laughing, having a good time. And this guy is fucking pissed. The movie ends. He gets up and just storms out. He's probably like, these two little assholes ruined Jason Goes to Hell for me, laughing. And as an older man now in life, I get it. I've been to movies where there's some little derelicts laughing or making noise. I'm trying to hear Begonia. Shut the fuck up, you little brats. So I get it. At the time I didn't. We were like, what a fucking loser that guy was. And so for years, I was like, that is the dumbest movie I've ever seen. And I'd make fun of Jason Goes to Hell. Fast forward many years later, 2007, I think, 2008, something like that. I come into contact with Adam Marcus, and I'm like, wow, we can get Adam Marcus here on Without Your Head. He directed that piece of shit movie, Jason Goes to Hell. So I revisit Jason Goes to Hell for the interview. Years later, decades later, different person. I just have this memory of this stupid ass movie, the guy biting a heart. We're laughing at this loser He's all pissed. I'm on the internet. For the most part, everyone hates this movie. Like, yeah, that movie sucks. Which is worse, that or Jason X? They're fighting. And I'm like, well, maybe it takes me in hands. And then, so I'm watching it, taking notes for the interview. And as it goes on, I'm like, this movie is so insane. This movie takes so many chances. It's got some fun characters. I think I kind of love it. And as the years went on, I watched it many times since then. And I've interviewed Adam Marcus many times. And he's got a great documentary out now. And this may be even higher on my list if I think about it. I think I love Jason Goes to Hell. It's insane. It's silly. It's preposterous. It takes great chances. For a lot of people, they ruin the franchise with this movie because they make Jason a worm or whatever. But he's trying to explain the unexplainable. It's like, well, how did Jason just keep coming back from all these things? Well, maybe he's not just this body. There's some weird soul monster thing that goes, to different corpses or whatever. And maybe he did drown, which I don't agree with that, Marcus. But hell, you're canon, I'm not. Maybe he did drown. And the mom made a deal with some demons using the Necronomicon to bring her son back. And now he's a deadite. I don't know. He says it. Do I agree with that part? Not really. But it's cool to say now. Plus the crates in it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I would argue that the glove with Freddy Krueger pulling him down to hell, that's cooler than Freddy versus Jason. Just that scene. You could see images from what was to be with a big Jason was going to come out. The worm was going to turn into this big giant demon. I'm all about it. If you haven't watched it in a long time, give it a shot. Now, I will say this. If you really love Friday the 13th movies, and I enjoy them. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm here talking about them. Obviously, I've seen them. I'm passionate about these movies. They're not my favorite franchise. I enjoy them. I'm not necessarily personally oh my God, I love this. So I get if wow, this is these are my movies. Every time they, and you know what? I did go see every time they came out. So what the hell am I talking about? But I get the idea. If you're so invested in Friday the 13th and Jason lore, and then this comes out and now he's a worm and he's jumping bodies, you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, Adam Marcus? You are ruining my Jason Voorhees. So I can't argue with that. If that's how you feel. Whatever. I don't really care about all that. The movie's insane. It's creative. I'll be honest, it's dumb as fuck, but I love it. So number 6, Jason Goes to Hell. The final Friday. Werewolf of Sicily. Hello, all my pals are here. Buzzards Bay Theater, Troy knows. By the way, before we get to the next one here, now we're going to get to the top 5. Now that I think about it, Jason Goes to Hell should have been number 5 on my list because I probably like it better than my 5 I have here, but I felt like I had to pick it. It just has to be high. It has to. Probably shouldn't have been this high, but whatever. Before I go into that. So this Thursday is my birthday. I turned 50 years old. I am officially an old fuck. So this show. And Tara out there, my friend Tara, my good friend Tara. The beautiful Tara, the handsome Tara when she's got a mustache. By the way, just a little tangent here. Me, Troy, we both feel the same way with AJ and Tara part of the show now. We're having more fun than we've ever had. We always had fun on the show, but it's been great. No, there's no drama, no fighting, just a lot of silly ideas. It's been a great experience. We have production meetings and come up with fun stuff, and it's just a blast. It's been great. So Tara said on my birthday, because it falls on Thursday during the live show, that we should do a show, our regular show, and I just have free reign. We can only talk about stuff that I like. And I'm like, yes, that is an idea for a show. The Nasty Neal show. We all have to agree that mustaches on Nosferatu is bullshit. We talk about Creep Show. We're going to talk about Universal Monsters, Psycho. We're going to talk about gritty 80s, gritty 70s and 80s New York films. This is the stuff that Nasty Neal loves. Now, there's also a shot that Lou Ferrigno will be on that live show. He's going to be on the show. He's agreed to do it. He's actually very excited about coming on, which makes me very happy. We're trying to work out the exact date. I did say next week's my birthday. It would be kind of cool if Lou Ferrigno was on for my birthday. So they're trying to figure it out if he can work it in his schedule, which would be pretty badass. So we'll see. Also, Wednesday, we're going to do a bonus show. Unless we go for my, she can either do Wednesday or Friday, but she couldn't do Thursday. And that is Jane Jensen of Romeo and Juliet. She played Juliet. She's also a musician. She's on tour right now with a new album out, I believe. And we tried to do it before Valentine's Day, but it just didn't work out because she's on tour right now. But she can do it either Wednesday or Friday. So depending on what day Troy and I go out for my birthday, well, we could probably still do it Wednesday because we probably won't be out super late. So anyway, that'll be an extra show. So that'll be fun. It'll be a good time. All right. All right. So now we're going to number 5. Number 5 it's not really a movie that I love. I honestly like it less than Jason Goes to Hell. But I always like to put historic, the importance of a movie on the list. Like the other night when we talked about Night of the Living Dead versus the remake Night of the Living Dead. It's a matter of opinion which movie you like, but I still think the original one's a better movie. But if you like the newer one, the Savini one better, that's fine. But just the historic importance of the original Night of the Living Dead, I think you have to just rank it higher. You just have to. I mean, it's like, I would argue the most influential horror movie of the last 60 years. I mean, besides like Universal monster movies. Which I was just say 100 years, but you probably have to, include Nosferatu and all the Universal monster movies. But so anyway, so probably figure out number 5 on my list is the original Friday the 13th.
I'd had this dream. I'm in a thunderstorm, and it's raining really hard. It sounds like pebbles when it hits the ground. I try to block out the sound with my hands, only it doesn't work. It just keeps getting louder and louder. And the rain turns to blood.
It's just a dream.
Are you crazy?
We ain't gonna stand for no weirdness out here.
Hello?
Did you know that a young boy drowned here? His name was Jason, and today is his birthday.
This place is cursed. You're doomed if you stay here.
It's not funny anymore. Not funny at all. They're both dead.
And he's still there.
He's still there, and he's still there. So, original Friday the 13th, not really my favorite of the franchise, but I mean it's the original. Now, My biggest issue with the movie is it's not Betsy Palmer herself. I think Betsy Palmer is great in the movie. And she was one of the first guests ever on the show, if people didn't know that. I think it was our third guest on the show. Maybe our second. It's really wild. It's real quick, the history of Without Your Head. I'm not going to go completely in depth in this. But 2006, there was 3 guests that were going to be the very first guests on the show. It was Robert Englund, who we were in talks with, and God, I'm going to forget his name. The zombie from the original Night of the Living Dead. I'm sure Vagina Rank will remember. And then Sid Haig. And so Robert Englund ended up not doing it. And actually, the guy was going to do it from Night of the Living Dead, but he lived out in a ranch and didn't have like a phone connection. It didn't work out technically, and it ended up being Sid Haig. And how it ended up being Sid Haig, being the very first guest on our show, was Rock and Shock. And so I was already doing a wrestling podcast, and I knew from doing the wrestling podcast. And before that, I used to do the transcripts for a wrestling show that was on the radio, Get in the Ring. And through that, I really kind of learned back in the day. It's not so much now, but back in the day, I kind of learned how to set up guests from that show. And a lot of it would be if there's a convention, hey, we can, plug the convention on the show. You trade up transcripts of the interview, send them out to websites, all these things. And so I was like, I was already doing that on the wrestling show. And I was like, maybe I could do this in another topic on horror. And so there was Rock and Shock had just started the year before. I don't think it was maybe it was the same year we did. I think it was 2005. I could be wrong. And so I was like, we can, promote Rock and Shock on this new website, Without Your Head, if you can help us get some interviews. And they did. They got a Sid Haig, huge guest, and Betsy Palmer, another huge guest. So that's pretty wild. So Betsy Palmer, I think, is great in this movie, but I do think the movie itself cheats with the reveal of Betsy Palmer as the killer, the mom as the killer, because you never see that character beforehand. So there's no way of guessing that. You can't watch that movie and be like, I know it's the mom that we never saw before. So when you see her at the end, and then, she becomes a killer. And maybe that's nitpicking. I don't know, but I think it would be, if you would have had a scene or two of her earlier in the movie and established her as a character, it would work better as the reveal. That being said, it's still a good movie. I hate to say typical slasher because it's one of the first ones, but it does, one of the movies that kind of starts that the rules of a slasher movie. I love Crazy Ralph. I love that character. And for people who don't know, I play a character like that in End Zone 2, which is, inspired. That is now, for people who don't know, End Zone 2 supposedly takes place in 1970. It was made in 1970, and it inspired all the slashers after that. So Backwoods Bob is the inspiration for Crazy Ralph and some people after that. But really, I was inspired by Crazy Ralph. For people who have not seen Enzo 2, that makes no sense. But if you've seen it, it makes sense. But I always like that character. I like that kind of character. You've got like just the crazy guy out in the woods. But maybe there's something to that crazy guy. He is warning you. Don't go out there, kid. A great decapitation. She gets decapitated and the hands come up looking for the head. That's a great scene. It's done in slow motion. And I like the idea of the mom is driven to, what? So a lot of times in horror films, if the villain is a woman, she's like either motivated by like sex in some way, or she's all about seducing men. So it's always like the sexy woman is, got her cleavage out or whatever. But they don't do that in Friday the 13th. She's killing because she's a matriarch, because she's killing because of the love of her son. And that's noble in some ways. You know, she's killed people who aren't actually guilty. And it also gives a reason why in other slasher movies there is no reason really why the kids who the young adults having sex are killed, other than that's what you do in a slasher movie. If you have sex, you get killed. It's actually explained in Friday the 13th. She's killing the kids that are having sex because in her mind they're not watching her son Jason, who's got a little, you know, whoop 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 up in the head. Someone should be watching him, and they don't spell that out, which I like too. It's left up to the imagination, but people should be watching Jason. He needs special, you know, treatment. And so what were they doing? They weren't watching Jason like they're supposed to. They were out going the whoopa whoopa whoopa, you know, the sexy times. And so that's why she kills him. So it makes sense. It's explained in the movie. Now I'm talking myself into liking this movie more than I do. Maybe Friday the 13th, it should be higher on my list now that I think about it. But there you go. Friday the 13th, number 5. My biggest complaint is it's kind of a cheat. You don't see the character before. She's not introduced before. Now she's a killer. All right. So let's go check out what people are saying over here. Yeah, exactly. He's a special boy. They don't hit you over the head like, hey, he's a dumbass or something. There's no R wording him. I would use GIFs to reenact TNA company news and pics of Betsy Palmer when Dixie Carter popped up. I could see that. But yeah, Betsy Palmer, when she was on the show, she would not even, I would ask her questions about the sequels, and she just like, they don't exist. As far as she would say, as far as I'm concerned, my son's drowned. I don't know who this guy with the mask is. Fuck that guy. That doesn't even exist. All right, Betsy Palmer. Calm down, Betsy. But yeah, go check that interview out. It's good stuff. All right. So number 4. So now we got the top 4 here. Number 4 is also a movie that grew on me over time. And I think it's found its audience over time. Because it's one that was not liked at all at the time. It angered people. You know what? I never really hated it like a lot of people. I even liked it at the time, but I've grown to like it more as time has gone on. And that is Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
If the memory of Jason still haunts you, you're not alone. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Severe trauma at age 12. Brutal self-defense, murder of a psychopathic killer. Boy, they've given him every therapy they can think of. Just wonder his mind isn't fried with all the drugs they've given him.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn.
Pete!
And suddenly, terror has become child's play. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Yeah, New Beginning, Part 5. Hated for a long time. And like a lot of movies that I remember being universally disliked, like Halloween Part 3, have really found an audience online, where I believe, growing, for the most part, I never really knew anyone who liked Halloween 3. I was definitely in the minority. I always was a huge fan of Halloween 3. And now I think it's a minority who don't like Halloween 3. So I don't think you can even say it's like a hated movie or you're in the minority if you like it anymore. This one you might still be in the minority if you're a fan of Part 5, because it is always seen as in many ways like a Scooby-Doo. With Scooby-Doo at the end, they pull the rubber mask off the ghost or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's it's JoJo up the street. You naughty kid. So if people know, Part 4, he supposedly gets killed for real this time. Part 5, you think he's back, and it turns out to be a fake Jason. And for that reason, like, a lot of people disliked it. I think it's a good movie, and as I always liked it then, just because I do think there's a lot of good kills in it. There's actually a lot of good. I think it's a scary movie, like it's a little more. Part 6 is beloved, but I think 6 is really corny, and I think 5 is has a more somber feel to it. I mean, there's silly stuff in it, like all of them, but. And I always think, for most part, like the end of these movies is the best part when you've got, so like you get the big chase with the final girl, and you've got all the reveals of the bodies and the corpses. So like they're running around like, oh shit, here's Billy dead. He's got all that stuff. And I think this is one of the best ones of that. I think that the whole third act with run around, and you get the kids get a really effeminate scream. He's like, ah! But he's a little kid. He can't help it. A great final girl. I think it's one of the best final girls in Friday the 13th movies. Yeah, I think it's a good movie, and I don't hate the fake Jason. I'm fine with that. You got it's this, at this point, if this was a real story, it'd be like this really notorious serial killer. Someone, a copycat, and it's all based around them going crazy over I believe their son gets killed at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Or they gets arm cut off. So yeah, it works for me. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. This was the second one with Tommy Jarvis. I will say, maybe, no offense to the actor, maybe the weakest Tommy Jarvis performance. Corey Feldman's great in Part 4, and Thomas Matthews is that who plays him in Part 6. This one's fine. I think a lot of people would have liked it, if Corey Feldman came back as Tommy Jarvis. Anyway, I like the movie. All right, so what are people saying over here? Yeah, Tom Matthews, he's a good man. Been on the show many times. I think I know Neal's number one. Could be. We'll find out. My number one has never changed ever since I saw saw it. But my number 3. Let me get it here. Let me find maybe I didn't say. Did I not save this one? All right, here. My number 3 happens to be Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Weekends are a good time to escape to the woods. Unless the weekend begins with Friday the 13th. Because 13 is an unlucky number. But out here, so are 1 through 12. Because these are Jason's woods. And nobody leaves them alive. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Jason. You can't fight him. You can't stop him. And now, you can't even keep him on the screen. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Now, when it comes to killing in Jason's woods, Jason will come to you. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. A new dimension in terror. It will scare you. Count on it.
Part 3 in 3D. I love old school 3D movies, even though technically they're way better today. They really don't make them too much anymore. But back in the day, what I love about them, so there's a few things. I had the nostalgia factor. Like it wouldn't be 7-Eleven or whatever because we don't have them, but it would be our local like convenience store, like I think it was Tedeschi's. And so every time there'd be a 3D movie on TV, it'd be like it'd be this, it'd be some Killer 8 movie, whatever. You would go and you'd buy like a slushie and you'd get the old school 3D glasses. You're like, oh yeah, this Saturday or you sit down, watch this 3D movie with these glasses. So that's a special thing. And what I really like about them, and this is something I would like to do, maybe we'll do this in a short film. I love that in the old school 3D movies, like Jaws 3D, Friday the 13th 3. I also like the idea of number 3 is always in 3D. Is that everyone just points stuff into the camera, really for no reason. They're just like, hey, look at that. Yeah. And so I want to make a movie, probably works better in a short, where it was supposed to be filmed in 3D, but for whatever reason, it's not in 3D. But while we were filming it, the idea was it was going to be in 3D. So everyone just keeps poking stuff into the camera for no reason other than it's going to be in 3D. The joke will be very funny to me and like 5 other people, hopefully. You know, no one else will get it. They'll be, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But I like that. So it's got 3D. Obviously, it for people who don't know, it's the first one with the mask here. Now Larry Zerner, who plays Shelley, a great guy, also one of our first guests, and now he's a lawyer and a huge horror fan. When I'm out in LA, I'm part of a horror. They do this horror trivia night in Burbank, and I'm part of a group, and they still do the show. I was doing it. I mean, they still do the. I'm not out in LA currently. But when I'm out there as part of it, and then during COVID, it was virtual, and I was part of the group. But unfortunately, can't do that currently. But I'm trying to think of the name. I forget the name of the group. I feel terrible. We have shirts and everything. But anyway, he's out there, and he goes to the horror trivia night. This guy's no joke. He is a legit horror fan, Larry Zerner. And so Larry Zerner in the movie, you know, he's faking his own death throughout the movie. This is a character that I can relate to, not with the faking your own death, but the idea of like you're kind of an awkward guy, and you would use humor to win people over, but sometimes you use it too much and you just piss people off, and they're like, "Fuck you." So I get that on every level. That was always my end was yeah, fuck this. Look at this loser, but hey, he's kind of funny. But anyway, Larry Zerner, Shelley. But what the big thing is, so Larry Zerner, if he didn't have the hockey mask, because Jason gets the hockey mask from Larry Zerner. from Shelley. He also has a scuba mask at some point in the movie, I believe. So imagine if you would have killed him when he had the scuba mask and and would Jason have worked if he puts on a scuba mask instead of a hockey mask? Or what if Larry Zerner had like a football helmet or like a ski mask? Would Jason have been as cool if he has a different mask? So if Shelley does not supply the hockey mask and Jason takes whatever mask he's got, would he have been as cool? I don't know. Maybe not. Like Jason walk around with a scuba mask. I mean, you'd be like, what the fuck? Jason with a ski mask? I don't know. Hockey mask. It's iconic. It's weird though. If I told you like I'm gonna make this this slasher movie and the guy's got a hockey mask on, you're like, oh, what is he, a hockey player? Like, no. Do you like hockey? No, he's probably never even seen it in his life. He's not like an ex-goalie. Like, no. He's not like Ray Bork. He's a killer. Like, no, none of that. He tried out for the NHL and then like the other kids broke his leg with the hockey stick and now he's killing everybody. No, none of this. You're like, well, why the fuck does he have a hockey mask? He's like, because he finds it, just puts it on. You're like, that's a dumb idea. Don't do that. But if whoever wrote this into the movie, the hockey mask, it's brilliant. I don't know. I mean, maybe Jason would have worked without it. I don't think so though. So you have that to thank. You got some hillbillies at the beginning. I forgot to mention in part 6. Something I do like about part 6, now that I think about it, is like in parts, we're going back to part 6 for a minute, is this, what fucking world does this take place in? There's like 1950s greasers. There's like these there's like this hillbilly mom and son. There's like a bike gang. What the hell is going on in this movie? Why are all these characters in the same town? But there's like people playing paintball. I don't know what is happening in that movie. The punk girl. Yeah, exactly. Part 3. It's a fun movie. There's great characters in part 3. You also have you have a gang in that come. They're going to beat up Shelley because Shelley knocks over the bikes. They all get killed by Jason. It's good stuff. Plus, so you're going to find out here. 2, 3, 4 are my favorites. I like that in my opinion, really all of them up until I guess New York probably ruins this, but you could watch them in order and it does tell a story. But from 1 to 4, like I said, between 1 and 2, you got to take a leap of faith. The Jason really didn't drown. The mom went crazy. She either knows he's out in the woods or she doesn't. He's out. Either way, whatever. It still makes sense if you just got to take a little bit of a leap of faith there. But from 2 to 4, they tell one big story. I like that. You can watch them in order. They start where the previous one ends. And I guess we get that in Terrifier. I like that though. We don't get that in a lot of movies. And so part 3 is a continuation of 2, and then it leads right into part 4. Let's see here. Yeah, I disavow this. I say that is bullshit. It's not. It's look. I'm friends with Adam Marcus, and he can say that all he wants. In Jason Goes to Hell, that she resurrected, and now he's a deadite and all this stuff. I say bullshit. He's clearly a living being in 2 to 4. He breathes. He runs. He makes noise when he gets hurt. He makes a shrine to his mom. And if he was resurrected, he dies as a little kid and he's resurrected into a grown man's body. I call bullshit. Bullshit. He is a living being, a sentient being from 2 to 4. It's a mongoloid. He's not all there, but it's a living being. Then he's a zombie from 6 on. None of this resurrection bullshit. Now, I like that. I like that Jason Goes to Hell is batshit crazy. And Adam Marcus can say whatever he wants in that movie. He's a friend of mine. He's in my movie. He is in the Once and Future Smash. He plays himself. I wrote jokes for the man in this movie. So I'm pro Adam Marcus, but I will disagree to the end of the world that Jason is resurrected in part 2 or whatever. Look, he had nothing to do with part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He Jason Goes to Hell. That's all his. In his movie, he can be all shenanigans and whatever he wants. And I love that about it. I love that it's crazy, but I am not going to accept it. I am not accepting it. He is not undead until part 6. And I will stand by that. So that was part 3. That was number 3, was part 3. By the way, End Zone, Joe Castro and I, we're all about doing End Zone 3, which would take place in the 80s and be in 3D. We would need money to do it, but whatever. Anyway, number 2. Number 2 on my list is number 2. Friday the 13th, part 2.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hey, you guys, look at this.
It's Camp Blood. This place is on the same lake as we're going to be. You still out there? Jason. Some sort of demented creature.
If I was you, I'd have located in the next county. Quiet for 5 years, and that's the way we want to keep it.
Legend has it that Jason saw his mother beheaded and he took his revenge. A revenge that he'll continue to seek if anyone ever enters his wilderness again.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Friday the 13th, part 2. People disagree. My favorite version of Jason. I like the sack on the head. I think it's creepier than the hockey mask. I get it. They stole it from an older movie, but whatever. I think it's creepier. You got the one eye and on the sack. And in my opinion, part 2 has the scariest scene in all of Friday the 13th, the whole franchise. And that is Jason shrine to the dead mom. Got her head cut off. You got the sweater there. That's the coolest scene. That's the creepiest scene in the whole franchise. So part 2, maybe the scariest, in my opinion, of the whole franchise. I don't think it's the best movie, but maybe the best horror movie of them, honestly. I think part 2 is really well made. It's creepy. They took the success of the first one. They're like, well, what are we going to do now? The mom's dead. The kid supposedly drowned. Like, fuck it. The kid didn't drown. He's living out in the woods. Now he's going to go get revenge for the mom. Hell yeah, let's do it. Begins with him just walking to the house, chopping her head off, sticking it in the fridge. Or maybe, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Part 2, I'm a big fan. I love this, the sack head. I love the shrine to the mom. The end. I remember as a kid, again, I always talk about a lot of things don't scare me because I grew up watching horror movie my entire life. There's a few things that stand out. The tall man always scared me in Phantasm. Not really the movie Magic, but the trailer for Magic, the TV spot for Magic with Anthony Hopkins, and it's just a mannequin. It's like abracadabra, take her to bed. Magic is fun. We're dead. That always scared the hell out of me. And honestly, the end of part 2, it's been done a million times since, and probably even before that. You think the guy's dead, he ain't. Jumps through the window. And scary. And you see him unmasked. I was gonna say, is it the first time you see Jason unmasked? But he's not masked as a Ari Lehman in the lake scene in the first one, I guess. But yeah, part 2. I'm a big fan. I think it's the second best in the franchise. Thought only one that's better, in my opinion. The best of the franchise. Look, I stand by Jason Goes to Hell. It's insane. I really enjoy it. I love 2 to 4. That storyline to me is the best. The original one sets up the whole movie, the whole thing, obviously. I like Jason going to space. I don't like all the movie, but I like that he goes to space. Fuck New York. If they only were in New York, great. But I don't want to see Jason on a boat when it's called. Like, if it was called Jason Takes a Cruise, fine. Jason Adrift on a Boat, you could call it that. Jason 8 Adrift on a Boat, and I'd be watching like, well, said in the title, what the hell did I expect? But I go in, and it's called Jason Takes Manhattan, and they're sitting on a fucking boat. No. In the last 5 minutes, they're in New York. That the whole movie's him punching. Look, if it would have been a 5-minute movie, he just walks into New York, he punches V.C. Dupree's head off, I'd be like, fantastic. The number 4 in the movie, in the franchise. But you got to sit through 80 minutes of bullshit to get to that. So fuck that movie. And then he turns into a kid. We're not going to redo this one, Nasty Neal. We already talked about this movie. Number 1 on the list, in my opinion, the best. And you know what? I don't even have the trailer here. Yes, I do have the trailer. Here we go. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And I did see Vagina Wrinkle bringing up Siskel and Ebert earlier. And I'm going to talk about them in a moment. Right after we look at the trailer for the greatest Friday the 13th in the franchise. And that is part 4, the final chapter.
3 times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason's unlucky day.
Boom. Wow, that just ended real quick. Great, another cool trailer. Friday the 13th Part 4. I think it's the best movie. I think it's the best movie. I think it's a good story. I think it's well made. It's actually well acted. Crispin Glover is dancing. I mean, what's not to love about that? You've got a Jason Hunter in the movie. You've got Tommy Jarvis, who's a great character. You've got Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman, a great actor as a child, and then he, goes insane. And something that they've done in many movies, and that is that at the end they've done this in like Hellraiser. They've done it in some other movies. I know they've done this in several movies where they hint that this other character is going to become the killer in the next one. They've done it in Halloween, like Halloween maybe 4 or 5, that like this killer, this other person is going to become the killer now. You think Tommy Jarvis, this drove him insane, and now he's going to be the killer. It's a cycle of violence. Jason sees his mom his mom sees Jason get killed, drives her to kill. And then the cycle goes because then Jason is coming back to get revenge for the mom, seeing her get killed. And now Tommy Jarvis has gone insane and he's going to be a killer. But it never really goes there. They hinted at it a couple times. They hinted at Part 5 too. But we know it doesn't really happen. I think the problem is people are like, yeah, that's a good idea, but people want to see, Jason. They don't want to see Tommy Jarvis. So, yeah, great movie. Like I said, you got the Hunter, you've got Tommy Jarvis, you got Crispin Glover dancing. What's not to love? You got a great death at the end, hacks his head apart. You got a great face reveal. Tommy's just hacking away on the head, fucking killing Jason. Now there was like an alternate ending that Tom Savini was gonna like put a television on his head and like he was gonna electrocute it, and I'm like, why they didn't do that? Maybe if I'd see it, I'd be like, hell yeah! Remember that ending when when Tommy Jarvis smashes a TV on Jason's head? That was great. I don't foresee that being great, honestly. I like maybe it was a microwave. Now I think about it, they stuck his head in a microwave. They couldn't have been a microwave. There's a TV. Either way, and we're pretty sure it's a TV. Either way, it would have been dumb. Maybe it was a microwave. I don't know. But hacked him up with the machete. He lives by the machete. He dies by the machete. That's the way it should be. Shaves his head. Tommy Jarvis shaves his head, kills Jason. You actually get an ending. And you like, hell yeah. He's dead now. He ain't gonna live now. Got his head all cut apart. And this is before any bullshit about witches and him being a deadite and all that bullshit. He's a living being who just got his head fucking cut up with a machete by crazy Corey Feldman before he's really crazy. Just acting crazy. Great ending. And then, a couple movies later, Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. He's like, let's bring this guy back up with lightning. And then it gets all nuts. But to me, Part 4, that's a great ending. You could have ended the franchise there. Yeah, I get it. You wouldn't have got a lot of cool stuff. So that's all right. But and it holds a special place for a few reasons. So I had mentioned earlier, when I was a kid, every Friday the 13th, they would show Friday the 13th movies. And they would show them in order up to whatever they were made. I remember as a kid, I think it was up to Part 3 usually when I was a little kid. What year was Part 3 made? Yeah, 82. So I would have been 6. So that's probably about right. That's probably when I started watching stuff. Well, probably about 4, I think, was when I saw Living Dead. But probably like me really starting to have memories of watching stuff on TV. And then I remember when part 4 came out, then they would show 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that was cool. And then as time goes on, you start to get cable and you can watch this stuff at different times. But it was really cool watching those 4 movies in a row, like a lot of times. Like they would show them on channel 38 or 56, and you'd watch them all in a row. I remember going to see part 4 in the drive-in. We used to go to the drive-in. So my brother's 9 years older. Our uncle would put. So there'd be 2 different kinds. Some places you'd pay per person, and so then like everyone would hide in the back of the van. And say there's 2, it's just 2 people. Pay no attention to the kids back there. Or it would just be pay per carload. And then, you load up the van anyway, and it doesn't matter if people know that you're there. And so my brother and his friends would get in the van with my uncle and my mom. Instead of getting a babysitter, single mom, just take Neal along. He's 4. He can handle this stuff. And so I remember, but I was older when part 4 came out. What year does part 4 come out? 84. Yeah, so I was an old man by then. I was 8. So I was 8 years old. I remember going to see it. That's the one the first one I remember seeing in the drive-in. I may have seen the other ones at drive-ins, but I was probably too young to really remember it at this point. But I remember going to see part 4 in the drive-in and being excited about it. And because like I said, every year I'd watch 1, 2, and 3. Or sometimes 2 a year if you had 2 Friday the 13th, they would show it on one of my local channels. He was either 38 or 56. WLVI channel 56, and the little thing would be like, LVI is part of living 56. And but anyway. They would so I saw part 1, 2, 3 like many times, and then 4 comes out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see part 4. Let's see what happens. Supposedly he's gonna die. And so yeah, I loved the movie then, and I love it now. And so I also grew up watching Siskel and Ebert. And even though I don't agree with a lot of Siskel and Ebert's takes, I do have to say they were very important to people at the time. Not so much for Friday the 13th movies, but a lot of movies that I may have not, seen, because they would talk about indie movies. They talk about, art movies. They talk about Oscar movies before they're up for Oscars. And so a little kid, I'd be watching this stuff, or even when I started getting into my early teens or preteens, and they'd be talking about movies that, I might not have ever saw, might not have ever rented, but I'm like, you know what? Siskel and Ebert talked about this. I'm going to go check it out. And as I started to get older, and so then you start to think, it's like, wait a minute, they don't like this movie. But I've watched this enough to realize that they don't like a lot of stuff that I like. And so their reasoning for not liking it might not affect me. And that's something that I think about even today when I talk about movies. So I try not to say, like, this movie sucked or whatever, even though sometimes I think I do say that. Like I'll say this movie didn't work for me because I think, well, it didn't work for me, but it might work for somebody else. So Siskel and Ebert, I knew they didn't like they fucking hated slasher movies. They would do whole shows about slasher movies and be like the machete and the pickaxe and the spear, all this stuff. It's like a phallic symbol because like the killer, he's taking his, I guess their idea is taking his schlong out. And he's doing the deed to the woman. I was like, man, these guys are really getting into it. They're getting all horned up is the problem. And the chainsaw, whatever. Although they do in Texas Chainsaw Part 2, they do kind of play around with that. But whatever. Where the hell was I talking about? So I remember, yeah, they did a whole show about slashers and how much they hated women. It was misogynistic, and I remember specifically about Part 4 though. And I will always remember this. And I've gone back and watched old Siskel and Ebert's because, like I said, I grew up with them. I like them, even if I don't always agree with them. And they were talking about Part 4, and like they were, Roger Ebert's like in tears, like he's legit like crying, like he's not bawling, but like you can see his eyes are swollen. And he's like, the problem is kids watch these movies and they think this is what the world is about. And even when I'm 8, we're like, what the fuck, Roger Ebert? You think I watch this movie, Friday the 13th, part 4? And I'm like, this is what the world is about? I'm like, I'm going to grow up and fight Jason? Are you a fucking moron? Nobody watching this movie thinks this is a world view. No one's like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to live in the world of Jason. Jason, the final chapter? Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter? Now, I know later on, Avatar comes out, people are in tears. They're like, they come out of Avatar, and they're like, the world's not all blue, and we don't live in a CGI land. And I thought same thing. I mean, these people are freaking morons. But I don't know anybody who came out of the final Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, and be like, this is the world. The world is Crispin Glover dancing, Jason Voorhees, Tommy Jarvis, and all. No, you watched it and you're like, that was cool. No one watched that and thought, this is what I'm going to grow up to be. I want to be Jason Voorhees when I grow up. I want to be Tommy Jarvis. I'm going to shave my head and go kill some maniac. No, you have to be, a psychopath to even think this, Roger Ebert. What the fuck is your problem? And then you would, before doxing, before Stuttering John, the Sisko and Ebert would be doxing these people. They did a whole show about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and they're freaking putting out the producers' names and addresses. Like, what in the hell? So, yeah, but then later on, like, Roger, well, you know what? Back in the day, Roger Ebert, I think he gave Last House on the Left a great review. That's a way darker movie than Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. That's way more likely to happen. That is a movie, okay, that could happen. Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, it's not going to happen. Let's be honest. The closest thing that's going to happen to that movie is Crispin Glover dancing, but the rest of the stuff is not going to happen. And they were so pissed about Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh my God, they were so mad about that movie. It's weird to even think about because, like, the newest one, it's way more people getting killed in that one. Terrifier's way more graphic than Silent Night, Deadly Night. No one blinks an eye. They're like, yeah, okay, pretty cool. But Silent Night, Deadly Night comes out. Like, wait a minute, you got Santa Claus on the cover with an axe. Whoa, Nelly. I don't know what you'd have to do today to get that response. I don't know if I want to know. So there we go. This is the definitive list of Friday the 13th franchise. Number 11, Jason Takes Manhattan. Fucking pile of shit. It's gonna. I can't go over this. All right. A great poster, a great concept. But not enough Jason in New York. A great kill. VC Dupree gets his head punched off. And then some bullshit with toxic waste. There's even a line, and don't get me started, Werewolf of London, with your witch bullshit again. What? There ain't no witch about the friggin' toxic waste. There's a line in the movie like this is the time of night when they open up the gates and the toxic waste flows through the tunnels. Like, what a dumbass movie. Number 10, Freddy vs. Jason. It's not even the worst movie or nothing, but it's a real missed opportunity to something cool. Number 9, Jason X. I stand by the idea of him going to space. He's got some great kills. It's not a great movie. It's like, we've got him in this new land. We got him in a whole new, it's kind of like Jason in Manhattan. In a way. Well, Jason Manhattan, it would be like if Jason Manhattan was in Manhattan the whole movie and they just didn't do anything with it. At least once they got there, they did something with it. But Jason X, you're on a spaceship. Let's do something with that. But instead, they're like, let's just recreate all the other Friday the 13th movies. It's a bunch of young adults having sex, silly dialogue. He kills them. They're having sex. We even throw in a hologram deck in there so we can be in the woods again. Yeah. But you got good stuff. You got Uber Jason. You got the idea that he's frozen in space. I like it. And of course, the frozen head exploding is pretty cool. That's great. Not pretty cool. It's great. Number 8, which is what I need to revisit, is The New Blood. I haven't seen enough to really have a big opinion on it. Number 7 was very controversial. Part 6, Jason Lives. I know it's a lot of people's favorite. I think it's very corny. I think there's some good stuff in it. I think if people like it as like kind of like a comedy, I get it. But I know people who they think it's like one of the greatest horror films ever made, like a legit horror movie. I'm like, it is. But I don't know. He's a zombie. That's the beginning of the zombie land. Number 6 is a movie that I stand by. Jason Goes to Hell. Even though I'm going to call bullshit on Deadites and witches and all that stuff, I like that it's just so insane. And he tries to explain all the nonsense in all the franchise. Like, whoa, what if this? I'm like, all right, whatever, Adam Marcus. Number 5 is the original Friday the 13th. It's not my favorite, to be honest, but it's a lot of good stuff. They explain why the people having sex get killed. There's a great motive for the mom, and the mom's not the typical female in a horror movie where they're either seducing people or there's some type of sexual reason for whatever. And I'm not against that. I'm just saying they actually did something different with a female character in a horror movie. She's killing stuff for the love of her child, for revenge of her child. So I like that. My only problem with that movie is it's kind of a cheat with the Betsy Palmer character because you don't introduce her until the final. So there's no way of guessing. You couldn't be like, oh yeah, it's that character that I've never seen before. Number 4, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, which is a movie I stand behind. It's kind of a Scooby-Doo. You pull the mask off. It's not really Jason, but I think it's a good movie, and they're doing a little something different. Number 3 is Part 3. He gets the mask for the first time, and Larry Zerner. Number 2 is Part 2. In my opinion, the coolest looking Jason. I know most people disagree, but I still think it is the creepiest scene in a Jason movie, and that is the shrine to the mom with the severed head there. And the blue sweater. And number 1, Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. So there we go. I missed a lot of chats here. The good parts are great, but it's weird too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I know some people are against the idea of a supernatural character in the movie, but I don't really understand why, because he's already established to be a zombie at this point. So why would he? Why can't there be another supernatural character? Plus, just some teenagers out in the woods. What chance do they have against this unkillable zombie? At this point, all right, now he might be able to have someone that can actually do something back. The original Friday the 13th is tamed by a lot of those movies are, even Part 3. Like, I remember it being a lot more graphic than it is when you watch it today. But that's what I like about Terrifier. Even though I actually like the first Terrifier best, even though the other ones are more graphic. The other ones, they have more of a backstory. I like that. I actually think that's a strength of the first Terrifier. There is no backstory. It's just, he's this killer clown killing everybody. You don't need a backstory. You don't always want to. A lot of these movies just are like, yeah, you got some backstory, whatever. He gets bullied. Now he's killing everybody. Oh yeah, sure, whatever. But now this is like, well, there is none. We're not bothered by that. We're like, the Damien Leone's like, what do people want from a slasher? They want cool kills, and they want a cool killer, and they want some badass final girls. And that's what Terrifier is. And Terrifier feels like an 80s slasher if they didn't have to worry about censorship. So they're like, let's cut this woman in half, upside down. All right, let's do it. So I'm a big fan of the Terrifier movies, and they don't shy away. It's not like you're getting killed off camera. Let's see it. do it. Do it up. All right, so there we go. That's the list, and I played some interviews earlier. I was gonna do this like a half hour. I thought this would take me a half hour. I've been here like 2.5 hours, but I had a good time. I'm gonna pop on more frequently. So I made a new little logo, but I'm also gonna be doing one for all of us. So as I mentioned earlier, look, I've enjoyed the show ever since we started. 2006. 20 is really 21 years ago, because 2006 is the first year that counts as a year. So really it's 21 years. But let's say 20 years because it sounds cool. We started the show. Me, Terrible Troy, Jittery John. We didn't use those names in. We weren't terrible and nasty and jittery. We actually started 2005 was the first show, actually, but the first guest was 2006. And then it became, a ongoing thing. And on the very first show was my friend Ron Hex and another guy, I think. I can't remember. But Ron Hex was on, and we did like our top 10 favorite horror movies. And then, then we started getting guests, and the rest is history there. But so throughout the years, a lot of John left the show after he was on the show from 2006 to 2011, I think 2012. 5 or 6 years. Andre Vanderpoodle was on for a while, and he's still friends of mine. But he went on to college, and he's making movies now, which is cool. Tommy Doom, rest in peace, died very young of Lou Gehrig's disease. Was one of the co-hosts for a while. Duckman was a co-host for a while, who also does my wrestling theme song. Very nice guy. Wish him well. Obviously, Annabelle Lecter was a big part of the show, on and off, from 2012 until 2025. She took a couple years off, and had left the show at various times. And treacherous Trista Robinson, who was a good friend of mine, who I met. Well, I met her before, but then we did a movie together, End Zone 2 and Once a Future Smash. And I just talked to her yesterday, and we're going to... So what happened was, became friends with her. We had her on the show, became friends with her on the show, made the movie together, and just like AJ, really bonded and became good friends. After we filmed the movie, this thing COVID came up, and she's a working actor, and so she, you couldn't act during that period of time, and so she became a co-host here on the show. And for actually, that's what started the video. Up until that point, we're audio only, and then when Trista joined the show, and Annabelle had left the show previously, and so this was during the time I wasn't talking. We weren't talking, and so Trista joined the show, and it was kind of perfect timing. It gave her something to do. It kept her from all of us from being depressed, especially her, because it was her livelihood was, being able to act. And so it was me and Troy and Trista for a couple of years on the show. And that was great. That was a really good time. And that was the launch of the video era of the podcast, because it was during COVID, the rise of Zoom. And so we started doing videos. And I talked to her. Yeah, I talked to her, often. But I talked to her yesterday. We're going to have her come on. It's like a reunion one of these days, because she's friends with AJ. She hasn't met Terry yet. So anyway, Trista Robinson era, a great time on the show. Jason Minton, the Headless Critic, co-host for a while. Another friend of mine who I used to travel with. We went to England together. We went to Buffalo many times. Went to Texas. And then... But right now, and that's not to take anything away from any of those people, but some stuff happened last year, which I'm not going to go into, but some stuff happened last year that made me really question, like, I was honestly just going to quit. I was going to quit the show. I was going to quit doing independent films. And, but my friends really had my back, and I will always appreciate that. And, so I never got to the point like, okay, this is the end of the show. And so people had my back, which I appreciated, stood by me And that meant a lot to me. And then, AJ joined the show, and Tara's always been a friend. I actually wanted Tara part of the show beforehand. It didn't work out for other reasons. And right now, we're having a great time. Me, Tara, AJ, Troy, we have production meetings. We talk about ideas for the show and outside of the show to expand the show. They have some ideas. I have my ideas. Troy has ideas. And no one's fighting. There's no drama. It's just a great time. And so why am I bringing this up? Because it's 20 years of doing the show. And I'm really happy to have everyone involved now. And then all these new people coming around. Werewolf of Sicily is great. John Reddy's been around for a long time, obviously. Dave Deadman, who he listens all the time. He's not always in the chat. Vagina Wrinkle, our moderator here. And Todd Yeager and Chobo out there. So I appreciate all that. Ari Jane, and all, everybody who watches the show, I appreciate. This week we did over 100,000 views, which is pretty wild. And so I appreciate all that. And it's been a great time. And we're going to be continuing the show, and some stuff beyond. We got some other ideas to go beyond just the podcast itself. Later this month, the trailer will premiere from Our Man Funk, which is AJ's first time directing a feature film, and I am in it as the main villain, the main antagonist. So that's very exciting. It's good times. It's good times, what I'm saying. So we're gonna pop up. I'll pop up once in a while doing the show. The main show is always gonna be Thursday with all of us. And we'll take video calls, and then like this every once in a while, I'm just going to pop up and talk some bullshit. We love you, Cry, the terrible one. We love you. Mutant, another good man here. Mutant Theater, who are you? But I know you're Mutant Theater, but I believe you're someone on Facebook as well. Trista. Yeah, I'm an old man, so I'm on Facebook. But we actually did create. AJ created. I can't say we did. AJ created the what the hell is it called? The Friendster, the MySpace, the Discord. He created the Discord because we have to get with the times. And so there is a Discord. It's not been made public yet because we're getting all together. But anybody out there, especially these folks in the chat room, if you would like to join it and want a private link, let me know and I will send you one, and you can join the Discord before it goes public as we're getting it all together. All right, so Thursday will be my birthday show, possibly with Lou Ferrigno, but Lou Ferrigno will be on. Wednesday, we're going to do a show with Jane Jensen, Juliet from Tromeo and Juliet. And who knows, it might pop up before then. You never know. There's a lot of cool horror movies coming out. Troy and I are going to go see Psycho Killer next week. Then we'll review that. Chris. All right, Chris. All right. Good man. Yeah, I mean, wherever. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and X primarily. I'm on every social media, but those are the ones I probably frequent the most. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I had a good time. Thank you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Vampire Show. I think it was our most live views ever. It had almost 2,000, 1,956 or something live viewers, which throughout the show. That's pretty awesome. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. Friday the 13th, it's over, but it depends on where you are. If you're on the East Coast, it's over. If you're somewhere else, it's probably still Friday the 13th. So have a good time. Werewolf of Sicily. Next month, we're going to be doing a serial killer show. That'll be a good time. Yeah, Vampire Show is great. Dario is a draw. Exactly. Yeah, Dario's a good guy. We like Dario, and we will see you soon. Good night, everybody. Until next time, this is Nasty Neal, and this is Without Your Head.